City of Romulus City Council regular meeting for Monday, June 27th, 2016. The roll will show that all members are present with the exception of Mayor Pro Tem Barton.
He's excused.
So noted. Tonight's council meeting agenda is as follows. Number 1, agenda. Number 2, minutes. Number 3, petitioner. Number 4, chairperson's report. Number 5, mayor's report. 6A, clerk's report. 6B, treasurer's report. 7, public comment. 8, unfinished business. 9, new business. 10, communication. 11 is warrant 16-12, and number 12 is adjournment. And a motion would be in order to accept the council meeting agenda as presented.
So moved. Support. Motion is by Mr. Kraut, supported by Ms. Abdo.
Mikowski?
I'm sorry, Ms. Mikowski, to accept the agenda as presented. Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Mikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Abstain.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Number 2 for approval are the minutes from the regular council meeting held June 13th, 2016.
Madam Chairman, I'm going to move that we approve these, but I'm going to request, and if I get support, I'll expand on, that we take out Resolution 16-282.
I'll support it.
If I could expand on this, this resolution involved turning over one of our fire stations for a company that was going to fix fire equipment. First of all, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I don't want to hurt anybody's ego here, but from the mayor down to the fire department, everybody has acted professional and they want to do a good job, and I'm complimenting what's going on in the fire department right now. But I'm going to be a realist about this. If you live in the Oak Brook sub or the Hale Creek sub, or you live on the east side of the airport, you've got good fire protection. You're covered. There's no ifs, and buts about it. If you live on the west side of the airport, you have to depend on the same truck to come out of the Eureka station. And in a perfect scenario, without a train coming, it'll probably get to your house in 7 or 8 minutes. You know, I think that's unacceptable. It's even worse if you live at Beverly and Wayne, how far that the fire truck has. And the reason I'm taking this resolution out, and I'm going to ask the administration to set up a meeting to do, let's talk about the fire protection, is because I don't think we should give away a perfectly good fire station. And 2 weeks ago, I voted in favor of this, but after going home and thinking about it, I don't think it's right. I wouldn't vote on an agreement to turn this building into a repair station. Like I said, the fire department, from the chief, the deputy chief, all the way down to the firefighters themselves, they are dedicated individuals. But if something happens, we don't want to be sitting here like in Huron Township and talking about a house that burned down because the mayor of the fire truck could not get there. And I know it's about financing and paying for it. You know, we used to, the only negative thing I'll say is we used to have good volunteers, and for some reason they got chased out of this town, and I think that's bad. I think it's terrible. But that's behind us, and we have to move forward. And we've got to make some effort to put a piece of equipment in that building with a man. So when something comes up on Barth and Hannon, or Wayne and Beverly, or Wick Road by the mayor's house, we got to be ready to fight this. And I know it's difficult. It's not going to be easy, but I think if we sit down and have a meeting, Mayor, and talk about it, that's all I'm asking.
Yes.
If I could, through the chair, we'd be happy to set up a study session and go over it. I think once, we hear the facts from the fire department, the two issues that I would just say to the public is that we have good fire protection service throughout the city, no matter what part of town you live on. And the data actually shows that this fire station 1 was manned by the pay-on-call. So we used to have equipment there if you recall. So for example, we would receive a call of dispatch, tone out pay-on-call. They would have to respond to the station and then respond to serve. And if you look at the numbers, we can actually respond with full-time 24-hour service from Eureka Road and service those calls better. The issue on the pay-on-call, it's every community that has a blended force with full-time and pay-on-call. We've struggled. We've tried to recruit more. We have not chased any out. We would like to continue to have a blended service, but I think if we get a chance to show you that in a meeting and share that data, I think then it'll maybe show a clearer picture. But just want to make a couple of those points, and we will, adhere to your request if you want to sit down and do a separate study session, and I'll bring our fire department in and we can share whatever you need.
And the biggest thing, and like I say, there's nobody's integrity here at stake or nothing. Everybody's doing a splendid job. But the problem is that we don't have a piece of equipment on the other side of the tracks. And that's a situation that we don't want to be sitting here after the fact saying, well, we did the best we could with what we had.
Sure, equipment doesn't make runs.
We need a man with the equipment.
And that station is not geared for any 24-hour service, so it'd be a huge investment to do that, but we'll share the data with, I don't want to debate it here, but
if we
I'll
have to
respect
look at
what you
some
want to
other
do.
funds in the police department that maybe move over to have this done, I know that probably went over like a lead balloon in the PD, but I mean, we have to be realistic about this. Well, I think I made my point.
Yeah,
Madam
we'll be
Chair?
happy to have a study session.
Madam Chair, I just want to share some information. With this resolution, well, one, it will have to, I don't know,
Rescind
maybe it'll have to be rescinded, maybe under unfinished business or new
do
business.
that.
Further down, we can rescind this resolution. Number two, the Property Disposition Committee, which I sit on that committee, we have a meeting tomorrow, and I can share, your feelings on this, or just from council that it was rescinded. And basically, the whole recommendation, when it was brought to the property disposition, is just, they wanted to explore and kind of, nothing was concrete, just someone expressed an interest. So the whole purpose, before they even looked into it or discussed it, they wanted to make sure that it came through the council first, so that you knew what was going on. So nothing has been decided or anything. So I just kind of want you to know that. It's just, they're just talking. They're just talking about it. But I will share this with the board tomorrow. And then if after, further down under unfinished business,
So you're
Councilman
saying that
Wadsworth.
according to Robert's rules, I cannot remove this before we approve
we can under this motion, remove this, but the resolution
Okay, I'll
needs to be
rescind it.
rescinded
Okay. All
at
right.
some point.
I'll do it right after we approve the minutes.
Sure,
So-
okay, we can.
And there again, everybody involved in this, when I walked out of the door 2 weeks ago, Monday night, it bothered me that we're gonna give away a perfectly good fire station to have equipment repaired in it. Because we don't know what the future holds.
Well, then the board is meeting tomorrow at 10:30. I don't know if you have, it is a public meeting, so if you would like to attend that meeting
Well,
here.
Any type of agreement would have to come back to council.
Sure,
anyway.
absolutely,
Okay.
yes, sure,
All right, fine.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Abdo.
in conjunction with Mr. Wadsworth, I've received calls from people on the west side of the town, basically. The railroad tracks are what people are worried about, and more than daily they're blocked. If a fire breaks out on the west side of town, how is the fire truck gonna get over there? I mean, sometimes those tracks are blocked clear from downtown Romulus all the way to Pennsylvania. I think there is a need for some type of fire protection on the west side of town, whether we have to have the station open part-time or something. We need to have, if we have to make some accommodations to the station so that we can put part of our fire department there.
Are you,
I'm done, I think.
you finished?
Just I'm sorry, I got one more comment. During the almost 14 years I worked in the city in a police car, we never even had second concerns that at a fire that the equipment wouldn't show up. But here we do. We have a railroad problem, and that's why, all right.
Yes, and then, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, just 2 points, all I want to make, we'll have a study session. We have very good fire service anywhere in the community, want to make that clear. We have 3 different groups of mutual aid, so if it be whatever would keep people from responding to an emergency scene, We have the Downriver Mutual Aid we pay into and participate, Western Wayne Mutual Aid, and we have an agreement with the Airport Authority. There's not any other community in southeast Michigan that has 3 mutual aid relationships like that for just that reason. So I just want to make the public know, we are covering all 36 square miles with our, fully staffed department. So don't fear, no matter where you are, call 911. We will get you help. And somehow, if it's not one of our crew because of a rail situation, you will get help. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Abdo?
So if there were a situation, a rail situation, and the west side of the city needs, is Belleville one that responds
Van
to us?
Buren, yes,
Van
we've
Buren?
utilized them before, as do we respond to them. So
Okay.
we have some equipment that they don't have, like the 100-foot ladder truck, for example. We've had the airport run on our behalf on mutual aid. We've had other downriver communities run if we need their help. That's how it works, is that we pay into that, we're partners in that, and, we help each other out. So no matter what part of town, I just want to make sure the public who's listening to this knows that they're covered. All they need to worry about is call 911, we will get you taken care of. So I want to make that clear.
Yes, go ahead.
Again, the airport wouldn't really help us because they're on the other side of the tracks. What we're looking for is coverage on the west side of, where you live too, if the tracks are blocked. So that would only be Van Buren then?
We have Van Buren, we have other Western Wayne communities that go from Northville all the way down to Huron Township.
Okay, we're talking about a timely factor there.
Sure, Van Buren is probably the closest partner that would respond, and they have, to some issues on the west side of town. On the east side of town, we could pull on any one of the eastern or downriver communities. And we have.
Any more discussion? So the motion is by Councilman Wadsworth to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting held June 13th, 2016, with the deletion of Resolution 182, or 16-182.
No, it's
That-
282, Linda.
282, okay, sorry about that. And you supported that? Mr. Kraut supported that. All right, Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
I have a question real quick while
Oh,
you're
I'm
doing
sorry.
this, because Ellen said we need to do that under, did you say we need to do that under,
That's, to rescind is later. All they're doing is approving the minutes to excluding this resolution and the approval.
okay. I just wanted to
So
make
we're
sure
good, yeah.
where we're at.
Ms. Makowski?
Abstain, I was absent last week.
Zabdo?
Abstain, I was absent last week.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes,
And chair votes yes. Minutes of the regular meeting are approved with the deletion of 16-282.
Right, 2B for approval are the minutes from the special meetings that were held on June 13th, 2016. The first meeting was a closed session regarding legal opinion. That meeting was at 6 o'clock. The second meeting was at 6:15, which was a study session. The topic of the discussion was the 34th District Court project. And at 7:15 PM, there was a study session regarding the third quarter city investments. And a motion would be in order to approve the minutes from those special meetings.
so move for the meetings, the special meetings held June 13th, 2016.
Support.
The motion is by Ms. Roscoe to approve the minutes of special meetings held June 13th. The first one at 6 PM, 6:15 PM, and 7:15 PM. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes,
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Abstain, I was absent.
Ms. Abdo?
Abstain, I was absent.
And chair votes yes. Motion is approved.
There are no petitioners on the agenda. Number 4 is the chairperson's report.
Filling in tonight for Mr. Barden, who is unable to be with us, and I really have no report. But Mr. Wadsworth? has
Thanks,
something?
Mr. Chokes. If I could, I'd like a memorial resolution for Ricky Edward Hayniak, and
Support.
I'll expand on it. Everybody up here knew Ricky, as we called him, Rick Hayniak. He passed away back on June the 16th. I've known Rick since probably 1975. You know, he was born and raised in Romulus. He had Romulus in his blood. I bowled with him on Wednesday nights. In fact, a couple of my bowl-a-thons at the animal shelter, he worked the front desk for me. You know, he leaves behind his kids, his grandkids, and, you know, especially his parents, Nick and Mary, at this time are really, you know, hurt, and our prayers should go out to him. He worked for the school board for a long time. He used to work at the Progressive Hall, and of course, we know he liked to fish, he liked to farm. I believe, where'd the mayor go? Mayor, isn't Nick the one that had all the cows on? Or I got the wrong Nick. Hey,
No, that's
you
Nick.
know, he was raised at the end of
Grant Road.
He was raised right at the end of Grant Road where they had the milking cows, and you know, Rick was a unique individual, and he was my friend, and he'll be. Thank you.
Ms. Choke?
Yes.
Yeah. One thing about Rick, he was a mechanic. He worked on cars, trucks, buses, and he's the best person. If your car broke down and you took the Rick's, had no money, Rick would tell you, I'll catch you later. That's that kind of person he was. And Rick loved the farm. He had a 2-acre parcel, and he farmed corn and tomatoes, and he had a John Deere tractor. He loved his John Deere tractor. Matter of fact, in his lifetime, he owned 8 John Deere tractors. He'll be missed.
Any other discussion?
Madam Chairman, can I make a comment
yes.
on that one as well? Yeah, I grew up, my homestead was on Grant Road, right down the street from the Haydenack Farm, and I remember Rick driving by on tractors and waving at him, so he definitely loved his farm life.
Sure did.
A good Romulus man, and at his service, you could see that reflected in all that he did. I mean, very basic core values. I did want to thank our police department for providing an escort from the funeral home to the cemetery. He was a past employee of the city and the schools. And as Mr. Kraut said, a very good mechanic and a good person. So just please keep the family in our prayers, and Ross Haydenack, his son, worked for us in ordinance for a while as well too. So continue to keep the family in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Roll call vote, Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
And chair votes yes.
Need a motion to accept the chairperson's report, please?
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Makowski, supported by Ms. Roscoe, to accept the chairperson's report. Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms.
Yes.
Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Thank you.
And number 5 is the mayor's report.
Good evening, council, treasurer, clerk, deputy clerk, and audience. Tonight in my report, this is one of my favorite quotes. This is by a gentleman named Elmer Davis, and it goes as this: "This nation will remain the land of the free only so long as it is the home of the brave." And I picked that quote because next week, 4th of July, I want to wish council and all our electeds and our residents a happy 4th of July. Remember the reason for the season when you're having your barbecue and your fireworks and your pool party and so forth, that we're celebrating our independence as a country, and that's pretty cool. We have, rather than a video clip tonight, we have live in person our very own Mr. Dennis Davison to give a live report. Welcome, Dennis.
There we go. Thank you, Mayor, council, clerk, deputy clerk, treasurer. Yeah, it's going to be a very joyous time this week. We had a very joyous time last week. For those of you who missed out on the Sounds in Downtown, it continues to be a big success. Last week's concert was attended by approximately 200 people. We were entertained by Heinz Drive with an acoustic, nostalgic trip down memory lane. The next concert will be on July the 8th. There will be a band paying tribute to another band that came out of England a while back, before my time, the Beatles. And the band was called Toppermost, so you'll be able to get to some good Beatles music coming up. And we have more vendors coming out for this than we had in the past, including the scouts that were selling food and refreshments. Farmers Market continues to grow. Even more vendors came out this past Wednesday, so we're enjoying great success with that event. Annual fireworks display will be held this Thursday, June the 30th, behind the Romulus Middle School. The show can be seen from Elmer Johnson Park. And many more events coming up that we'll be catching you up as we go along, but one of them is going to be on Tuesday, August the 2nd. It's Romulus Night at Comerica Park, as the Tigers take on the Chicago White Sox, probably for first place. For more information to purchase tickets for this event, please call the Chamber office. Once again, we've proved that Romulus is a place to come to, not go through. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate it. A lot going on in the city of Romulus. Now under my items for action report, first item up is we do have a request, and this is to concur with the administration, authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into the attached agreement for the community credit program and local transit program with the SMART and the city of Romulus, and this is for the 2017 fiscal year.
So moved.
Support.
Motion is by Ms. Makowski, supported by Ms. Abdo, to authorize the administration and the mayor and clerk to enter into an agreement for community credit program for the local transit program between the SMART and the city of Romulus for the 2017 fiscal year. Do you have any discussion? Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion is approved.
Thank you, council. Next item up is a request to authorize payment to SEMCOG in the amount of $2,702. These dues are for the membership from June 15th of 16 through June 15th of 2017.
So moved to pay SIMCOG $2,702.
Support.
Motion is by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Mr. Kraut, that we authorize payment to SEMCOG in the amount of $2,702 for dues for membership through June 15th, 2017. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion is carried.
Thank you, council. Next item is a request to concur with the administration, authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into the attached service contract with the firm Thomas Roberts Architect for the basic architectural services and schematic design and development in the bid documents for the specifications for a facade and building renovation at 36542 Goddard Road, cost not to exceed $4,000.
So moved with discussion, please.
Support.
Yes, the motion is by Ms. Makowski, supported by Ms. Roscoe, that we authorize the administration and the mayor and clerk to enter into a service agreement with the firm of Thomas Roberts Architect for basic architectural services for schematic design, design development, and bid documents and specifications for facade building renovations at 36542 Goddard Road, with cost not to exceed $4,000. We
Thank you.
have discussion?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Ms. Lambert. I just wanted to know a little bit more about this. Is this a city-owned building, or?
This, yes, it's a microphone, sorry.
Thanks, Dennis.
This is a DDA building, and as you'll recall, we did get some grant funds through CDBG to improve the facade and some other things in the building. We do have Artisan Reserve, if you'll recall, is a new brewery company that will be going in there. And so as soon as we get the building in order, they can move in.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if it was just the one section on the right-hand side, or it was that full section.
It's the full,
Full.
it's the full,
I
it's the
see.
two
Wonderful.
storefronts.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
Just a quick question for Mrs. Lambert. Will this be done by the end of the year, we hope?
Yes.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Yay.
Okay.
Can you, yes, Ms. Abdo?
Maria, I just want to make it clear to the people out there that this is money that's from a grant. Right,
Can you use the microphone, please?
Yes, it's CDBG funds.
so their tax dollars aren't necessarily paying for
We're
it.
not
This is
paying
from
it.
a grant, and I
It's from a
think people
grant.
need
It's
to know
not
that.
city money, right.
Can
Thank you.
Are you finished?
Yeah.
Can you explain exactly which building we're talking about?
It's the old Whistle Stop building, the restaurant that was in downtown, 36542 Goddard.
So the group of buildings next to the hardware store? Is the
It's
hardware
one
store
over.
One over.
No, one over. There's a hardware store, another smaller building, and then the two storefronts.
Okay, so it doesn't include all the buildings on
No,
that block?
it does not,
Just,
because we only own that one section. there.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion is carried.
Thank you, council. Next item is a request to concur with administration, allow departments to make purchases off the public auction sites for equipment for the purchasing ordinance bid threshold of $6,000 upon the permission of the mayor with proof of availability of funds until the appropriate language can be added to the purchasing ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support that with discussion, please.
So the motion is by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Makowski, that concur with the administration and allow departments to make purchases off of public auction sites for equipment up to the purchasing ordinance bid threshold of $6,000 upon permission of the mayor and with proof of availability of funds until the appropriate language can be added to the city's purchasing ordinance. Is there any discussion?
Yes, please. So that just led right into my question. The timing to update the purchasing ordinance is when?
You know, I don't have an exact date on it. We're looking at the purchasing ordinance, and also what I'm looking at for council is a possible proposal for an ordinance that would favor local businesses. I've been doing some research. There are other communities. Right now, ours is just lowest competitive bid. I think there's a lot of benefit to looking at not just the process of the purchasing ordinance, but also a way to give additional credit for local businesses that I've heard that loud and clear from council. I think that makes a lot of sense. We have some downtown businesses and others that, so we're looking to come back with a couple of those revisions. So, months, hopefully,
Okay.
so.
All right, so within the next couple of months. Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion is carried.
Thank you, council. Next item up is a request to increase the revenue of engineering review fees collected for the new major projects. And this will increase the expense for engineering reviews conducted by the contractual engineers on those same projects. So it's an
moved.
increase in revenue.
So move, Mr. Chairman, for budget amendment 15/16-21 from the general fund.
Support.
Motion is by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Mr. Kraut, that we introduce a budget amendment to increase the revenue for engineering review fees collected from the new major project, as well as increase expense for engineering reviews conducted by contractual engineers on the same project. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion is carried.
Thank you, council. And the last item for action is item F, and that's a request to move unused funding from our 15-16 fiscal year into the demolitions budget to complete the demolition of 9 properties currently on demolition list number 14-01. Carry over to the next fiscal year.
So move with discussion, please.
Or,
Question also.
Motion is by Ms. Makowski, supported by Ms. Abdo, that we introduce a budget amendment to move the unused funding from 15-16 fiscal year retained earnings to the demolitions budget to complete the demolition of 9 properties currently on demolition list 14-01. Ms. Makowski?
Yes, thank you. In Mr. McCrate's memorandum where he's making this request, he mentions that they're putting policies in place to ensure that state of Michigan hazardous material regulations won't delay future demolitions, because that's why this happened. How are we gonna do that?
Want to speak on that? That pertains to the asbestos often that's in some of the buildings that they have to bid out.
Exactly. The delay came from the change in requirements by the state for asbestos inspections for a community to raise abandoned structures, to make sure that we don't have any.
You have to start over.
Is it on now?
Yes,
Okay.
start over.
I apologize. There was a change in requirements from the state of Michigan as far as asbestos inspections by municipalities when they're raising old abandoned structures. So to make sure we don't have a delay or this issue in the future, we actually have now an asbestos contractor in contract. We've been in contract with them for 2 years. So we'll be able to call them, get a PO, get a rec, get a PO, and have our guy go out and do the inspection. It'll make it a lot faster for us.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yes. Ms. Roscoe?
I have a question for you, Mr. McCrate. So we've got the 9 properties currently on the list. What kind of time frame are we looking at with the delays we've had?
We gave those to our demolition contractor today, so he's got 48 hours to give me the results, and then we'll let bid. We already let bid on these 9 houses. We had to pull them because of the issue with the asbestos.
Okay.
So as soon as we have that information to add into our bid document, we're gonna put them right out to bid again. So as fast as we get those back, we're gonna let bid and hopefully raise those structures.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Ms. Abdo?
When are the bids due back? I mean, I guess I want more of a timeline. When are the bids due back for these 9 houses?
Well, once we, let them put the bid out there, usually takes about 30 days to get it back.
Okay, and then,
And then we'll go through the bid packets, open them, award, and then, do all we can to facilitate the demolition as fast as possible.
so we're talking minimum 30 days and possibly
I'd put us right around that 30-day window.
that we would, and that a bid will be awarded.
Right.
Okay, so usually after, how long after that's awarded, do we have any idea? There's just one call I keep getting, and I know you know where.
Right. It's hard to say because, the contractors, we can't put a timeline on how busy they are. That decision, how fast they can raise these structures will definitely factor into awarding the bid. We want them down as soon as possible, so I'd probably put it 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay,
We haven't had any delays with any of our demo contractors, so they're pretty quick to.
Right.
it gives me a
respond.
timeline. We have 30 days to get the bids in, and probably within the next.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
Go ahead. Any other discussion? Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Crump?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion is carried.
Thank you, council. That concludes my report.
6A is the clerk's report. Under 6A1, for second reading and final adoption is Budget Amendment 1516-20, General Fund, and this budget amendment was introduced at the council meeting of June 13, 2016.
So moved.
Support.
Motion is by Ms. Makowski, supported by Mr. Wadsworth, to grant second reading final adoption to Budget Amendment 1516-20. Any discussion? Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Crop?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion is carried.
6A2, for second reading and final adoption is Budget Amendment 1617-2, Motor Vehicle Fund, and this budget amendment was introduced at the council meeting of June 13, 2016.
So move for second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 16/17-2, the Motor Vehicle Fund.
Support.
Motion is by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Roscoe, to grant second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 1617-2, Motor Vehicle Fund. Is there any discussion? Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Crowe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion is carried.
6A3. 6A3 is the new water rates, which will go into effect July 1st, 2016. No action is required unless council disapproves of the new water and sewer rates, and this is pursuant to Section 62-405 and 62-406 of the Romulus Code of Ordinances.
Question?
You have a question?
Ms. Roscoe? Yes?
I would just like, if Abby could come explain exactly what's happening here and why, and how it is a pass-through fees, something that is basically out of our control.
Sure.
It's coming from other places.
Abby, come on up if you could, please. Welcome.
Hello, okay. Council, mayor, clerk, treasurer. We received our rates from the city of Detroit about a couple months ago. We've also gotten our rates from the two sewage systems we're part of, Downriver and Rouge Valley, and they all did present us with increases. So we have to pass those along to our residents. We also have our local cost of our employees, equipment, water repairs, we're purchasing new meters, all those costs, the entire water budget has been built into the rates. So we have to pass that along to our residents, our customers, and we have to maintain a healthy fund balance too, in case there's a major issue, repair, because that could be millions of dollars all of a sudden. So we do our best to keep the rates as low as we can, but we have to pass those costs along. City of Detroit has a fixed rate that they charge us. 60% of their budget is fixed, meaning they're gonna charge us that no matter how much water we use. So that's a big component of our water bills now, is the fixed rate, and that's 100% pass through. And if there's anything else I can answer.
That's great. I just wanted to be clear where the percentages are coming from.
If anyone would like to see the breakdown, we're more than happy to provide that in the finance department. Just stop by and ask. We have a little spreadsheet showing how we come up with the rates, so you can see all that. Very transparent.
Thank you, Abby.
Could you explain to the public and to those watching this on TV that the way the water and sewer department is handled as far as rates go is by state statute. It's an individual supported department that.
That's correct. It's an enterprise fund.
Enterprise, yes.
Right, meaning it's fully supported by rates.
By the water rates.
Right. No general fund money, no roads money, nothing is intermingled with that. It's strictly water, and it's generated through the rates. So that's how that's funded.
And we're not allowed to go into deficit on it?
Not at all. You're
And no
correct.
general fund is not allowed to pay for it, to subsidize it in any way, shape, or form?
That's correct.
Thank you.
I could just add, Madam Chairman, on the sewer side, the two systems that we participate in, the downriver is a majority of where our sewage treatment is processed, as well as Rouge Valley. We're in talks still with Wayne County about the 13 communities possibly purchasing that plant. As soon as we have an agreement, I'll bring back to you, and obviously all the communities would have to decide who's going to be in that, because we have that DUA system right now versus who may be a customer. The goal, the reason I bring it up now is that the goal was initially to keep it rate neutral. I don't know if that's possible, but they're looking at that option. So once they have something that's agreed to in writing, I will be bringing that back to City Council with the numbers that support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 6A4, for approval are the proposed changes to the city fee schedule. The fees will go into effect July 1 if approved. So what you have is the proposed fee schedule for the 2016-17 budget year. The departments that included their changes are, let's see, we have the animal shelter, the clerk's office, DPW department, the mayor's office, recreation department, and the treasurer's office. And those changes were highlighted in red in your schedule. And before taking action, if council has any questions?
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to accept the city fee schedule.
Support.
The motion is to accept the proposed changes to the city fee schedule that becomes effective July 1st, 2016. Is there any discussion? Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion is carried.
Thank you. That concludes the clerk's report. And 6B is the treasurer's report.
Good evening. I do not have any items under my report today. Thank you.
Number 7 is public comment, and this is the portion of our meeting that's set aside for the general public that may be sitting out in the audience. If you have comments, we ask that you raise your hand, and after being acknowledged by the chairperson, approach the podium and state your name. And we ask that you please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Any questions or concerns that need responses, please note that those responses will take place under the item 8, unfinished business of the agenda. Madam Chair, we do not have any written requests this evening.
Do we have anyone in the audience who would like to address council? I guess that closes that.
Number 8 is unfinished business.
Yes, Mr.
Madam
Wadsworth?
Chairman, I've got 2 things. Number 1, I'd like a motion to rescind Resolution 16-282.
Support.
Motion is by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Mr. Kraut, that we rescind Resolution 16-282. That was a motion from last week's minutes.
From June 13th, right?
June 13th minutes with regard to the fire station. Is there any discussion? Yes, Ms. Roscoe?
First of all, I don't really agree with rescinding the motion from last week because we haven't put anything in place. It's just we are allowing them to discuss the lease, correct?
Right, what
Am I
you're doing-
understanding that?
Right,
How
you're
the
just
resolution-
rescinding the resolution, period. It has nothing to do with the minute part is taken care of. This is just the resolution.
But if we rescind the resolution, then we're telling them they can no longer
Correct. That's, I mean, yes,
negotiate.
Correct. and
the
most
motion that
cities-
was made was to allow them to explore that option. So I would take that, my direction from council, if you're rescinding that, you're telling them not to explore that option.
So I disagree with rescinding it because I believe you should look into the option that they're looking into and then we can approve it. In the meantime, we can set up a study session and see what our options are. Second of all, we're not selling the building. We would only be leasing it if it worked out that way. But either way, it's just a discussion.
This is totally at the discretion of the council. It's totally up to you. This has to go before the property disposition board, so again, and they're only a recommending body, so it's at your discretion, so however you want to vote.
It would come back, my understanding, either as if they're gonna explore it, if there was action, it would come back to this body. If the property disposition makes a recommendation, it'll come back to this body. All they were looking for was the opportunity to look into that, to come back with a recommendation one way or another. They have just had some conversation with this company that was mentioned to possibly come into that. So either way, it would come back to council, but whatever you want to do, we'll take your direction and go with it.
Okay, well, I would just like to say that I totally agree with Mr. Wadsworth that the fact is that, you know, the railroad tracks, you know, needing fire protection everywhere. You know, I kind of fought that battle 3 or 4 years ago when we had the problems with when we first closed the station as far as working out of there as paid on call runs and so on and so forth. But at this point, I don't think that we should not look into the alternatives if we're not going to be able to open it. But I do agree with having a study session in the meantime so we can see exactly what the options are before we would agree to a lease. So that's, I just wanted to make those comments. So before I vote.
The motion's on the floor.
I know, is there any other discussion? Well, tell me this, Ms. Craigbride. We approved the minutes with the removal of 16282.
I think you
So
have to move.
now, that's as if that resolution never happened.
I believe you have to move forward with this motion, with this resolution. Whatever the roll call vote, you need to take the roll call vote, because that motion's on the floor, so then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, whether it pass or fail.
And our intention is still to come back with a study session. There may be at some point in time another motion needed, but I'm fine with that.
All right. Motion on the floor is to rescind Resolution 16282. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
No.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion is carried.
Madam Chairman, I have one more thing if I could.
Yes.
And it's to Mayor Burkroff. Mayor, I believe it was in the Free Press line, June the 15th, there was an article about, it's supposed to be Local Road Help Bill 557. Except in the article, it said it was only for communities that had 25,000 people. Are you aware of House Bill 557?
No, I'm not.
I know we're a little short, but you know, we do have a major airport in our town.
I know, I am on a Conference of Western Wayne Transportation Committee, and I was there in Lansing a week ago, and there's a bill that there's being sponsored to look at where people could get loans from their county if they were a certain size. Maybe that's it. I'll check it out.
It's supposed to be House Bill 557. There's supposed to be $6 million. It's going to be allocated. I believe that's what I read.
Okay.
But one of the criteria is you had to have 25,000 people in your city, which we don't, but we're close.
I'll tell you what, I'll get details on the House bill and if it would impact us or not and report back to council.
Is there any
Any
more?
other unfinished business?
Number 9 is new business.
Is there any new business?
Number 10 is communication.
No communication?
And number 11 for approval is warrant 16-12.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to read warrant 16-12 for the following. General fund, $212,843.78. Major street fund, $4,153.24. Local street fund, $4,267.82. Oakwood SAD, $348.35. Community employee activity, $1,909.70. 9/11 fund, $918.03. Narcotic forfeiture for the state, $6,738. Library fund, $2,523.12. DDA, $308.74. Water and sewer fund, $202,226.96. Motor vehicle, $27,917.01. Technology services, $46,782.99. Retiree insurance benefits, $182,480.72. And the revolving fund, $66,852.35. For a grand total of $760,270.81.
Support.
Motion is by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Makowski, that we approve warrant 16-12 in the grand total amount of $760,000 or $270.81. Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
And chair votes yes, motion is carried.
Number 12 is adjournment.
So moved.
Support. Motion is by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Roscoe, to adjourn the meeting of June 27th, 2016. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
And chair votes yes, motion is carried. Meeting is adjourned.